Hello my fellow startup founders, welcome back to my channel. I'm Eliza and I'm starting a company from scratch. So this week we're in Christmas season. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so today we're just going to do a fun little video. So today I'm going to talk about why entrepreneurship is exactly like playing a video game. So I'll be honest with you, I came up with the concept for this video because I like playing video games in my free time. I just think it's something nice to do to relax and still get some achievement going. But as I started playing these games on, in my case, a PlayStation, I realized that there was a lot in common between how the video game industry works, certainly nowadays, and how entrepreneurship tends to work. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why that is. So the first one is pretty obvious. It's that there is such a combination of creativity, business, and technical prowess, which is all things that you need to work in concert together in order to make a successful startup in the tech world, at least. Now, I know that many other mediums have to do this. The difference with a video game being that it is interactive, just like a product that you give to a person is interactive. It requires participation from the audience, from the consumer. It only makes sense that the art style and the game mechanics and the way in which you structure it works for the audience that you are delivering it to. So I will give you an example. If you think about the vast number of people who play video games, they're in a lot of different age demographics. They do a lot of different things. You know, we think video games are just for children, but actually adults play a lot of video games too, I think in a very large percentage. So if you think about two games, one being Fortnite and the other being PubG is the name of it. Now these two games actually function largely the same way. Fortnite kind of has a couple of extra features, but it's all in this kind of battle royale style where you have, say, 100 people going into an arena and they sort of battle it out and then there's one winner. Very simplified, I know, please don't come for me gamers. The point I would like to make is that Fortnite is designed with children in mind, and you can see how that plays out because the art style is very different. On the other hand, PubG has a very realistic, gritty style, and that's because a lot of adults play it. You know, not exclusively, but you can see why the Fortnite style appeals to children, whereas PubG appeals to older people. The point here being is that you have to have your audience in mind to do anything in a game and also to do anything in a tech startup. You have to orient your entire being, all of the technology that you put into a product, all of the art styles and graphics that you use, all of the marketing messaging that you use has to be done with your audience in mind. If I am making a product that is for the elderly, I'm not going to make it with big baby text or with current internet lingo to appeal to a younger audience, because it just doesn't make sense. It's not going to appeal to the demographic that I am trying to get to buy the product. And so in that sense, and that includes how you interact with the product. So in that sense, the two are very similar. So the next time you see a video game, you might want to think about who they are marketing towards and all of the ways that the video game is structured in order to do that. So the next way that video games are pretty similar to a technology startup is this idea of introducing the product to people. Now, anytime that you play a new game, you sort of have a starting tutorial where the game teaches you how to use the game. This is actually a very difficult process. It's called onboarding, and I think I'll make another whole video dedicated to the onboarding process. But for now, I'm just going to mention that there's very different ways and approaches to do this. Some games kind of have a whole tutorial level. There's a lot of text and you have to do a lot of things to progress, and they make sure that you understand. There are other games that are pretty much the opposite. So I recently played Horizon Zero Dawn. In that game, you get a couple of basic instructions, but for the most part, it leaves it up to you for how you want to play the game, and you can discover new ways to do things and new menus all on your own. But it's definitely a different style, and again, you have to keep in mind who your audience is. But if you feel like your design style is strong, it's definitely very clean to not have any text on the screen. You just kind of learn instinctively how to do things, and that's a sign of really, really great video game design. And similarly, it's a really great design for technology as well. It should be working with people how people would normally do things. So it should be as natural as possible. If you want someone to get to settings, they shouldn't have to wonder how to do it for minutes at a time. It's a very frustrating experience for them. And frankly, if it isn't working for them, they're just going to abandon your app, your product, because it's too difficult to work out. Just like if you tried to play a video game and you had no idea what to do, you would switch off that video game. It's not fun. And so finally, the last way, and this is a little bit more to the psychology of a founder, which is that really difficult. It's difficult to describe fully what being a startup founder is like, but I wanted to leave you with this one last piece of advice that I think has been very helpful for me. Okay, so let's say you're trying to defeat a boss in Spyro, and there's kind of many steps to defeating this boss. You have to do a whole bunch of things to kind of win the game in the end to defeat the final boss. Let's say that you play the game 19 times and you lose and you die 19 different times, and then the 20th time you make it and you win. In the video game world, it would be sort of absurd for you to say, oh, I have a 5% win rate for bosses. No one says that. What you say is, I beat the game. It doesn't matter that you failed 19 times. You could have failed 100 times previously. The point is that you beat it. It worked out for you once, and lightning struck and you won. Similarly, I feel like entrepreneurship is very different to the rest of life, because most of the time, like in school and such, you are measured, like on a test it's 95% correct. But that's not how it works in entrepreneurship. You can fail over and over and over again, and it doesn't matter if you can get that lightning to strike that one time, if you can beat the game of doing a successful startup. Hi there, sorry about the lighting change. My battery died, and by the time I charged it, it was dark outside. So anyway, the point of this is that no one phrases it as, I only have a 5% success rate. They phrase it as, I beat it, I won. And I think it's the same idea for startups. I think your job as an entrepreneur is two things. One is that every time there is a failure, you learn from it. You know, you try to defeat the boss, it doesn't work. and you need to say, why didn't it work? Is it because I need to do this other combo or try this other method? Similarly, you have to break down every failure in your startup, and how are you going to prevent that from happening again? The second thing that you have to do is just to make sure that the failures that you do have are relatively inexpensive. So try to minimize the cost of each one of these failures. So for example, instead of developing your entire app, releasing it to the store, only to have it fail, why not instead create a clickable screen prototype, which you can do with many different apps like Sketch, InVision, Adobe XD. Create it so that you can get the idea of it across and start releasing it out to people and see what they say. That only takes a little bit of work, but you can get a lot of results back. And so you're not spending as much, you're not spending the tens of thousands of dollars it takes to develop an app, you're spending a couple thousand. And then that way, nothing is too expensive and you can keep going, you maximize your chances through all of your failures to get to that success before you run out of money, which is basically your job at the early stages. Okay, so that's it for today. This is going to be my last video of the year because I'm taking next week off for the holidays, so I hope everyone has a great holiday season. Please subscribe to my channel so that I can grow and reach more people. And yeah, that's it. Happy holidays. Bye.